Let's start this thing.
Hey, welcome to Bev's Video Kingdom intro episode. We're going to tell you a little bit about like what we are and what we're doing and who we are. So I'll kick it off here. I am Nate, and I'm here with three of my best and oldest buddies. Brad, what do you say?
My name's Brad. Yeah, no, we've got just a few guys here that decided we like talking shit about movies, and we've known each other a super long time. Let's sit down and do a podcast.
Yes, and we kicked it off, right? So like, you know, Nick and Zach were sort of talking one day about, you know, being bored during the pandemic, right, fellas?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was getting ready, our respective jobs. We were getting ready to go on quarantine. It was looking kind of grim, and sent the text out like, are we about ready to geek out on some movies to kill some time?
There was definitely a lot of free time afforded us by the pandemic. And I think a lot of people, we kind of wanted to, do something that seemed productive but wasn't really.
I mean, we did this for what, like a year on Zoom, because we weren't doing it in person, right? So we're kind of doing the whole, social distancing of like, several miles over Zoom. And so we did a whole bunch of movies with terrible quality audio and lots of bad takes. I don't think we've gotten rid of all our bad takes, but we got rid of the bad audio. And so we decided to do this thing for real. And so that's Bev's Video Kingdom is born. And we've known each other a real long time. So we're all from a real small town. We grew up together. Brad and I are a little older, a few years older than Zach and Nick, but Brad and I have known each other since preschool. Yeah. How long have you guys known each other?
Like fourth or fifth grade.
Third grade,
because we were playing baseball before we were actually in school together. Because I came into like the school and met all of Zach and all of the friends that we still have today. But I was playing baseball at a really young age with Zach.
So now 30 plus years later, we're all still kind of hanging out, and we've gone off and come back, and we're kind of in and around our small town. And we decided we're going to do this thing. And so what we decided, we were trying, what do we name this, right? And the story was that when we grew up in the era of the VHS, there was still, mom and pop video stores. In fact, I think this was even before like Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, right?
I think you're correct.
Well,
yeah.
at least in our area.
In our area, yeah. So we had this. There's this main street in our tiny little sleepy town, in the ag center of California, and it's called Bev's Video Kingdom, right? So we all would go in there and peruse the shelves, look at all the different genres. I still remember, Tuesdays was when all the new VHSs would come out. So I'd call Bev, I'd be, hey Bev, okay, can you reserve for me Top Gun? Because I really want to watch it when it comes out.
I'm going to need you to put Slapshot behind the counter so that I can get it before Scott Beck gets there.
And if you look at our logo, which Nick designed, Nick's a super talented artist. So the logo has the red box. So the way it worked was all the cardboard boxes with the pictures and everything of the VHSs were out on the shelves. You'd take it up to the counter and it'd have a little number on it, and she would take it back and find the red maroon box with the little white slip, swap it out, and then you'd actually have the VHS tape home. So you always, you come to any of our houses on a weekend in the 80s and 90s, and there was always a stack of maroon, movie cases hanging around, right?
Faux show.
Oh yeah.
Friday night in my family, my sister and I, we would go, and my parents would take us, and we would get to pick out. We would each get to pick out a movie, and it was. I honestly feel bad for my parents because I have the same problem now, to where I have all of these movies on the TV, and I sit there and I will take longer than the movie to pick out what movie I'm going to watch. And I can't make a decision, and I would do the exact same thing
too.
As a young boy.
It's tough.
Nothing worse than that movie you wanted to see that week, and you're like, oh man, people have been talking about it, I gotta go get it, and then you would show up and that shit would be
all out,
and you'd be like, man, now I gotta settle for Home Alone.
For the 8th time.
And then later, right, like Brad was reminding me that our close friend of ours bought you remember about when that was, Brad?
Man, that would have been probably we were probably about sophomores.
Okay, so like mid 90s, Bev's gets sold to a close friend of ours, and it sort of became kind of like an after hours hangout. So we watched a lot of movies, some of them that we can't talk about on the pod.
Yeah, we watched a lot of movies. We would play some N64, James Bond, GoldenEye.
Yeah, be really annoying to all the customers that were in there and thinking that this was a professional business when we were just all jacking around.
And stealing the screener copies that they would get like months before the movie would actually come out. And it would have it would go either like black and white for a while, or it would have like little lines go across it. But we'd have those movies and be like, yeah, we got the good shit. Look at this.
Like we have already seen Ernest Scared Stupid. You haven't even seen it yet.
So Nick, tell me a little bit about like what's your genre. Let's introduce the listeners to who you are as a cinephile.
Pretty eclectic range. And in no way is this list, I didn't plan this list at all. I did actually, just so I could seem very eclectic to all you folks out there.
He just scribbled it on a piece of paper. It's surprisingly terrible handwriting for such a good artist.
Actually, that is true.
Yeah.
Jump around from movies like Training Day that I can't get enough. That's my Denzel go-to. Almost Famous is my feel-good go-to. My classic that I grew up with and Brad can be with me here because I know it's on there with him too. But Best of Times, Robin Williams and Kurt Russell, because our small town, that speaks to our hearts as far as football in a small town in California, Central Valley. We grew up in that world, and that speaks to us very, very, it's very close to our hearts. But then you jump to, Fincher films, were one of my favorites. So I threw out a movie like Social Network. But then I'll also every once in a while jump to a comedy like Nacho Libre that I've seen a lot in my life. So there's my range of flicks.
Nick also had an embarrassing habit of blind buying DVDs for a period of time.
Oh yeah, this is the perfect time to bring that up. Yeah, which I gave up not too long before I started dating my wife. Thank God. Brought along my collection. Got rid of half of it, at least 3/4 of it in a garage sale.
That was part of the prenup, I think.
I love how he says it like that was a long time ago. He's been married for like 2 years.
No, I quit.
Yeah, he's trying to sell
blind.
this like this was in his
15
immature years.
I quit the blind buying many years ago, leading up to a recent marriage to my wife. That's why we worked out though. Yeah.
Zach, what's your jams? What do you get your movie rocks off to?
Without sounding lame, I'm like sort of a horror movie junkie, I would say, but man, I really don't like 99% of the ones that I watch, which is sort of frustrating as a movie viewer. I get on and I painstakingly pick out what movie I'm gonna watch, and make sure my subtitles are all set right, and then. By the end, I literally hate 99% of the movies that I force myself to watch. And my wife is like, "Why are you torturing yourself with this weird French, extremism horror movie that is going to be terrible?" And I said, "Because there's going to be one that's good, and I'm gonna love it."
Because Brad picked it, babe.
Yeah.
Nate picked it. Nick picked it. These three guys forced me to watch these.
Would you also say that you're kind of like you love you like a movie that's a little hard to watch?
So my thing
depressing.
is,
not just horror, but like
I'm not a super emotional person. One thing that really gets me is sadness and kind of just super bleak, sort of, The Road-esque, like
I just watched that.
Yeah, like a real so I wish I lived in Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian universe. Anyways, so I'm just a huge, this guy, Ari Aster, if you guys have heard of him, brand new director, super young guy. He has 2 movies to his credit, Hereditary and Midsommar, 2 of my absolute favorite movies. High tension, great French horror movie. Outside of the horror genre, we're looking at one of my favorite movies is Children of Men. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is my favorite comedy. Rules of Attraction is probably my favorite drama. A little obscure, not too off the wall, but I just like to be sad or, kind of just scared.
Startled.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
You just want to feel.
It's not just feel. I want to feel uncomfortable.
Zach can handle like imagery, extremely imagery that leaves an imprint on you and would stay with the majority of people. It stays with Zach differently.
Yeah, it makes me want to watch
Bone
it again.
Tomahawk stays with me and will never leave me, and it makes Zach like kind of warm and fuzzy inside.
Honestly, Bone Tomahawk, while a great movie, I mean, it's pretty tame compared to some of the stuff out there.
It is, and that's it. That's if you watch the Bone Tomahawk and you just heard what he says about being tame, you know Zach.
Wait for your picks, man. I'm gonna have to order some extra
And I will
anxiety medication.
I will put into all of that I just said that I do not pick any of the movies that I really like because these. Well, I know for one, Nate wouldn't watch it.
I'd watch it. It would just take me 6 or 7 weeks.
Which after Brad's done, by the way, we do have to get back. We have to come back around to Nate's. How he watches.
I have a whole story about it that I'm going to tell during this little vignette because I witnessed it this weekend. Nate watching a movie.
It's episodic.
Absolutely ridiculous.
All right, before we get to that, Brad, why don't you give us your rundown?
Yeah, so I think Nick and I kind of had the same thing where I think we shared a lot of movies with our dads, and my dad, my brother, and I. There would be a lot of times my mom wouldn't be home at night, and so it was head to the movie store and let's pick something. So I was the younger brother, so a lot of times they're going to be picking things that are kind of in their wheelhouse, and so I got to watch a lot of shit that probably I shouldn't have been watching. If we go back to like the Die Hards, Lethal Weapons, and Beverly Hills Cop, that kind of stuff, a lot of fun comedies, Naked Gun, the Monty Python, and then sports movies. Always had a thing for sports movies, and then any movie that's got some good music. So Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Boogie Nights. I mean, things that really use music in interesting ways. And then also sci-fi, intelligent sci-fi. So, I mean, going back like Gattaca, Ex Machina, things like that, where it's just like very interestingly done.
I love both those movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Classics. And then I married a woman who's a big Disney fan. And so that got me into the whole Disney Pixar universe. And Pixar, I had this idea that, even with The Good Dinosaur and Cars 2, I still think Pixar really does no wrong. I like pretty much all their movies. So.
Did people not like Good Dinosaur?
Yeah, it wasn't a fave. It wasn't a hit.
We watched
like
that a lot
others.
in our house.
It's a spectacular movie.
I don't think because it's good. I think it's because I have a 2-year-old. I had a 2-year-old that we watched a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a little bit all over the place, but
so would you say? So here's my. I always describe when I describe your tastes to other people, I say that there's always an element of like you like to like things that are a little bit unique. Like you like to find little gems, like things because they're a little bit different and weird. Maybe not main, or maybe a better way to put it is you don't want to like something that's super mainstream if you can avoid it. Is that right?
a little bit, but not to the extreme,
I agree
and
with
more
that,
because
yeah.
it just like it makes me feel something. Like I like things that like, oh shit, that made me feel something that I hadn't felt before, or something that like
you want to see something that even if it's kind of weird or you're not sure what it is, that like you've never seen before.
I appreciate the creation of it. I think that's what it's like. I like the fact that somebody thought up this wild ass idea and decided to put it on film or music even. I mean that type of stuff. So
yeah. Mr. Bungle. Being
yeah, if we're going music,
bands.
yeah.
All right.
Loosely using the term music there.
All right, so that's Brad, and I'm back
Don't
to
hate on
Nate.
Mr.
You guys need
Bungle.
to you need to study this carefully so that you know that you get our voices. I'll be the one that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So I'm Nate, as I said, and I like kind of a mix of movies, pretty much everything except weird horror shit. But you know, some of my favorites, and I sort of like, my range is really far. I really like a lot of romantic comedies, so like I'm definitely going to be anchor the scale there. But I like some dramas, some sports movies. So Shawshank Redemption, When Harry Met Sally, Good Will Hunting, Hoosiers, Love Actually, Almost Famous, Old School, kind of some of my favorites. Funny enough, on that kind of misses what I would say is my favorite genre, which is coming of age, maybe even like high school coming of age. And so some of my very favorite ones don't quite have that quality, but like, I don't know, The Girl Next Door or American Pie or
Can't Hardly Wait.
There you go. So I like a lot of that sort of coming of age stuff, comedies or maybe even some more serious. So those are kind of my jams. So what do you guys want to say about how I watch movies?
I went to the lake with Nate and his family this weekend, and we were doing a movie the next day. And so Nate was pressed for time to watch this movie, and so I witnessed,
as I often am.
I witnessed Nate start the movie on his iPhone while feeding his infant daughter. And literally 8 seconds after the credits, had to stop, go change a diaper, do a bunch of stuff, maybe even took the boat out for like 2 hours, came back, then he's got it on the iPad. And it's like hours and hours had passed.
I was watching it side by side with a live stream of my daughter sleeping.
And I keep coming into the situation where Nate's watching it, and he's watching it on a different screen every single time, different sizes. And I realize he's like 12 minutes into the movie, and he's been trying to watch it for 4 hours.
6 different devices.
It's absolutely crazy.
You know those stupid commercials where they show like, oh, you can watch it and then you can take it with you on the road and stuff. And like, you're like,
Yes.
who the fuck watches a movie like that? Nate watches a fucking movie like that.
So funny enough, I didn't think about this, but now that you say it, the movie that you're referencing that we were working on, I watched on 6 different devices.
That's crazy.
In like a 48-hour period. Yeah. So I often refer to movies by which season and episode of the movie that I'm watching. So that's what that's about.
It's a running joke that we find very hilarious. So you guys better
Get ready
buckle
for
up.
it.
Especially for Nate, the scary stuff.
Bunch of dicks. All right. So here's what we're gonna do now that we've introduced ourselves. Bev's Video Kingdom, we were a bunch of rewatchables fans, you should definitely check that pod out if you're a fan of this and you're a fan of movies. So we kind of start out listening to that, and we play and riffing off that format a little bit. And so some of the things we have in common there is we don't recap the movies. We pick a movie each week. We rotate who picks, and so the person that picks kind of leads the discussion. We do not recap the movie. So if you we'll title the episode with the movie in it, and we definitely want encourage you to go check that movie out or refresh your memory on it.
We're going to tell you the week before what the next week's movie will be, and your assignment is to go, if you choose to accept it, to go watch that movie, and then you can listen to the pod. But there's definitely an assumption that if you're listening, you have already seen the
or you just find us so funny that we could just talk about any shit and we would, which is fine, which is an acceptable reason to listen to the pod.
If our handsomeness could convey through our voices, then there would definitely be our humor, and our handsomeness would be the reason why you're listening.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that, and then we kind of originally stole a bunch of categories from Rewatchables, and we kind of kicked some of them out and changed some of them and did our own thing. And so basically we talked through kind of loosely a bunch of categories. We do so we had drinking with the director. We usually kind of kick off with that, where we talk about what we're drinking, and we kind of ask the hypothetical questions of the director. What else do we do?
We got a shag snag body bag, which is
like
kind of the marry fuck kill, you might know it as. So it's basically things that we love, just really can't live without for a movie, and then there's things that we want to like buy flowers for and take out to dinner and stuff like that. And then there's the things that I got to get rid of this in these movies because this sucks.
So you're saying the things that we love are the things we want to fuck, and then the things that we want to buy flowers for and take out, those are the things we want to marry.
Well, I mean like passionate love, that that kind of love.
Yeah.
I'm already lost. That category is going to be a fun one. So let's see. We do some alternate endings and reshelves where we make up new endings to the movies if we have good ones and kind of change the way it comes out. Or sometimes we turn like a drama into a romantic comedy and try to play out how that would be different. So we do a little bit of that stuff. Sometimes we have ads that may or may not be real. So you just keep your ears out for the ones that are real ads and the ones that may or may be made up based on content from the film. And then the way it's going to work is that every week we will pick the movie and it will be a 2-parter. So the first part, which we typically will release on Tuesdays, we talk about the movie. We kind of go through our categories. We kick things around. Occasionally we might have a guest on to talk about, the movie itself, with us or something else that's kind of interesting and related. And then, we're taping it all together, but for you'll get the release of the second part on Thursday, where we do a draft, usually like a 4-round draft, kind of like your fantasy football drafts, where we'll come up with a category related to a movie. So like one of our early ones is Whiplash, and there was the most memorable movie, Teacher, right? And we drafted 4 rounds of that. And then we usually have a guest judge on that hopefully is related to that. Sometimes just a friend of the pod, and they judge it. So that's it. That's what Bev's Video Kingdom is. And that's a little bit about us. We hope you check out some episodes. Hope you like it. Hope you find us on Facebook and on Instagram. Facebook's kind of lively. We a lot of times post things about the episodes that we're doing, ask for viewer or listener opinions. So get on there if you're an active social media person. You can email us at bevsvideokingdom at gmail.com. And you can send hate mail or pictures of your plants at home. You can really anything you want. We need email.
We highly encourage plant pictures.
All right, so that's about it. Anything I forgot? You guys want to add anything?
Start listening to the pod. Like, subscribe, do all that shit. Leave good reviews.
Yeah.
Like my kids say after everything they tell me, like and subscribe.
God, that's just such an annoying phrase.
All right, Bev's Video Kingdom's out.
I wanna be at Beverly's, bringing me home with my movies. Just a blind ride, no reason why. I love this scene. Nick Natak and Brad, your favorite podcast. The stars.